lighting is a bit weird today, so I'm using my ring light for once. I usually like to rely on natural light, but yeah, it's gone a bit weird, so no. Hello darlings, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be playing a fun little game of Lies the Internet Told You. Now, I know that, it's horrifying and shocking to think that the internet could ever tell you something that wasn't true, but I do think that we all absorb little subliminal messages and lessons that we don't even realise that we do. So today I wanted to do a little bit of constructive vintage myth busting on some things that you might have been led to believe because of the internet that actually are not true in the slightest. I like to call this modern life advice with Snow White because that was the inspiration for my outfit today. Did I nail it? There is a correct answer. False life lesson number 1. Your life and your youth ends at 25 and it's all downhill from there. Now, this is not exactly anything new. The media and visual imagery and books and all sorts of things have prioritised youth since pretty much the dawn of time. It kind of makes sense when you think about the fact that people didn't really used to live as long, so all of your years were indeed a lot more precious and you did tend to do things a little bit younger. But now that we're all, in the 21st century and people tend to live to like 100, I know that the national average is actually probably closer to 80 something in Britain, but I am absolutely determined that I'm going to live to 100 years old, because if you live to 100 you get a telegram from the Queen, and whilst yes I know that our dear Elizabeth II is probably not going to make it to when I am 100 years old, although she's basically immortal at this point I'm pretty sure, so who knows, I just want to get a telegram from the monarch. I don't care if we have hover cars and like holograms and all of that cool sci-fi stuff by the time I'm 100. If I do not receive a telegram from the monarch when I'm 100, I'm going to be most put out. But a lot of the success stories, and particularly overnight quote-unquote success stories in our culture recently, just do seem to be getting younger and younger and younger, and it leads to a feeling of mounting pressure that if you are in your mid-20s, or God forbid older than that, that you are past your prime and you have no chance at success, and that your most lucrative and best years are behind you. This is further impressed upon people with people saying things like, high school is the best years of your life. Oh my god, no they are not. And once you hit 25, people making jokes about it all goes downhill from here, which if you haven't had a great time up until you're 25, that's not going to be encouraging. So maybe just think about that the next time you make fun of people at the office. But seriously, I am 23 years old and you have no idea how freaked out I get. I do not know a single person my age and in sort of the 2-year bracket around it that isn't freaking out over the fact that we are getting older, aging, and that it feels like our youth is slipping away like sand through an hourglass. And that's ridiculous, because I'm only 4 years past being a teenager, and yet I freak out at the fact that I haven't somehow managed to write a best-selling novel, become a musical superstar, and started my own fashion line of 1950s clothing, because that's kind of what we're led to believe we should have done. I think when you see young teenagers, people in their early 20s, and sometimes literal children being crazy successful online, it can make us feel really insecure about being older and also getting older. But your life actually improves as you age. Every single year is a new year of wonderful experiences, life lessons, and learning that you can apply to make your life better, happier, and stronger. The older you get, the more experience you have, the more lessons that you have learned, and it's only a good thing. Particularly, I know if you didn't have the best start growing up, if you didn't have perhaps the healthiest home environment, or if certain aspects of school or maybe traumatic events happened when you were in your childhood to teens, then having people say, oh, you know, it all goes downhill once you hit your mid-20s can be really frightening and disheartening. But I promise you, as someone who knows people who are older, that that is not true. There's this really wonderful video by Judge Judy that I love, where she's like, if you don't make it in your 20s, you can make it in your 30s. If you don't make it in your 30s, you can make it in your 40s. If you don't make it in your 40s, you can make it in your 50s, your 60s, even your 70s and 80s. And I really love that philosophy. We need to stop trying to skip to a destination and just focus on enjoying the journey, because life is a journey and not a destination anyways. Lesson the internet taught you. Number 2, you have to be one thing. Hello, my name is Rianne. I am the very vintage darling of the channel's name, also the vintage soprano on Facebook and on Instagram, and also on YouTube. I'm planning many exciting projects. I dress in 1950s and 1940s every single day of my life, but I know that especially on social media there is a pressure to put yourself into a very specific niche, and it makes you feel like you only have to be one thing. You have to be a poetry person, a skateboarding person, a dancing person, a vintage person, a punk person. The list goes on and on and on and on. But as the great High School Musical films taught us, we are all so multifaceted and we can be more than one thing, and it's actually healthy and really, really wonderful to incorporate all of the facets of your personality into everything that you do. The very delicate, interconnected, woven tapestry of all of the things that you are, that you've seen, that you love, and that you've done, and that you want to do, are what make you exciting and engaging as a person, both online and in real life where we actually live. You do not have to be one thing, you do not have to adhere to one certain aesthetic, one certain style. You can do multiple things, have multiple interests. I am, yes, on YouTube I do fashion and lifestyle and beauty and hair and all of that kind of thing, and I do musical theatre and opera, but I also am a really avid reader. I really want to start doing book reviews on my channel, so those are going to start to be coming soon. I love to write, I love historical fiction, I love history, particularly World War history. That's a really big area of interest for me, and I love the Tudors. I love the Avengers and Marvel films. Oh my gosh, I love film, I love cinema, I love feminist narratives, I love queer theory, I love so many different things, and you are the same. Don't feel like you have to put yourself into a little specific box just to be accepted, because that is not the case. And the people who want you to just be in a box, to think that you're cool, aren't people you will even want to hang out with anyway. Break out of the narrative and just be your full unfiltered self, and you will find more happiness and more fulfillment that way, I promise. False life lesson the internet taught you number 3 is that you have to be perfect all the time. I know this is one that a lot of us are deconstructing, but I think especially on places like Instagram and YouTube, it's really pervasive still. All of the influencers and celebrities and authors, dancers, actors, directors, writers, sports people, anyone that you follow, you only see what they want you to see. Even when you do things like daily vlogging, you only see a small cross-section of their life, because there are certain things and certain aspects of a person's life that you are never going to see, and that's normal. Everyone has ups and downs, and no one's life is perfect, and that's kind of the beauty of it, is that none of us are meant to be perfect. You do not have to look a certain way all of the time. You do not have to be 100% turned on and extroverted and willing to meet and socialise with people and blah 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 and do everything and work and write and fulfill your dreams and start a side hustle and all of that all of the time. You need time, no matter whether you are the heaviest introvert or the most sparkly extrovert. Everyone has social time that they can deal with, and time where they need to be alone, time where they want to be around people and time when they don't, time when they feel really productive and times when they just want or need to rest, times when they look absolutely gorgeous and times when they just look like a normal person and they don't really care about how they look. You also have to remember that photo editing is a lie. Even when people post makeup-free selfies of themselves, which I've done quite a lot, you always look different on a camera than how you look in real life. Most cameras cannot pick up the kind of skin texture that the human eye can, or that you can see in a mirror. So even on days where I've posted, you know, on Instagram or on YouTube or done videos where I'm not wearing any makeup, my skin looks very different on a camera than it does in person. You also have to remember that when you are photo editing, even if you're really deliberately not applying any smoothing filters or anything to the skin, just things like changing the colour tone, changing brightness and contrasts and saturations and all that will change how your skin looks, and they do tend to smooth out automatically even without you realising. So don't feel bad and don't feel like everyone just looks perfect and has perfect skin and looks wonderful and stuff all of the time, because I promise you that's not the case. No one wants to share a photo of them curled up in a blanket with mascara smeared down their face like, just had a breakdown tonight, lol. Of course you want to share things that make you happy and that uplift you, and I got this thing done today and I achieved this and I felt happy. And that's not a bad thing, but you can't let it influence you into believing that if you feel sad, if you feel unmotivated, if you haven't maybe been 100% productive today, that you're somehow less worthy, because that is not the case, I promise you. Lies the internet told you, number 4. You constantly have to buy new things. Consumerism is obviously a massive problem in the world in which we live, and I am a really big part of that. I am definitely susceptible to seeing really pretty new things and being like, shiny, I need it. I don't need it. Especially on places like Instagram. I feel like almost everything is especially on places like Instagram. But Instagram and YouTube and any visual medium, so I guess probably on things like TikTok as well, there is a really big pressure, especially if you do any sort of fashion content, to constantly be buying new things. I have a video that I made, I think around a year ago, that I will put a link to in the card, kind of along this road where it feels like all lookbooks have to contain nothing but new items in order to be useful, which I didn't think was the point of lookbooks. But especially when people are working with brands, you have to remember that they will get given items to show and to promote for free, or at a very heavy discount. So it may look like these people have crazy amounts of clothes, and they probably do, but they are not going out and constantly buying all of those items. A lot of them will be affiliate or gifted in exchange for the posts that you are in fact watching that are making you kind of want to get the thing. Remember that it is far more important to spend your money carefully on quality pieces that you are going to wear for years and years and years to come, and not on things just because you think they're trendy and just because you think a piece will make you cool and just because you're worried that you haven't shown any new pieces recently and you're worried that people aren't going to want to watch your content. Trust me when I say that I really like seeing pieces repeated. I really like seeing outfits styled in different ways. It's something I like doing with my own wardrobe, and I think we all have to get out of that idea that you constantly have to be having new, you can't recycle outfits, you can't wear things more than once in a certain way, you have to constantly be finding new ways to wear them, blah 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 blah. There is a really wonderful video by Bernadette Banner, which I will leave up in the card. She is a goddess, I love her, and she basically says how she pretty much wears like combinations of the same sort of 5 or so outfits over and over and over again, because there is never any harm in repeating good quality items. Even in my era, in the 50s and 40s, my era, as if I lived there, I'm not an immortal, no. But even in the 1940s and 50s, people didn't have a lot of clothing in the same way that they do today. I would really, really highly recommend you to take your clothes to a seamstress if they're not fitting you right. Get them altered, get them taken in or let out or fixed so that you can wear them and they fit you better. I've done this with so many items and it's honestly an absolute godsend. Really carefully think about a piece before you buy it and make sure that you know that you are going to wear it a lot and that it is a quality item that you really love. I'm not saying that you have to only buy expensive clothing because that's not my place to say, but just that it is something that you're going to wear for a really long time and not something you're immediately going to want to throw out when the next trend comes along. And finally, to all my content creators out there, you don't need to constantly be having new things. People follow you because they like the kind of content you make, and hopefully not just because they constantly want to see new things. I've had people tell me they really love it when I repeat pieces in all of my lookbooks because it's realistic and it shows them how to wear similar things in different ways. So don't feel down and don't beat yourself up. So those are my 4 life lessons that the internet taught you, which are actually wrong. I was going to do more, but I actually really like those, so I think I'm going to leave it there. Speaking of the social media, which is a totally polished and glamorous version of our real life, I have lots of those. You can follow me on all of them, they will all be in the description down below. I also have a blog which I'm planning on writing a lot more on, so get on to that. And I have it's either a Ko-Fi or a Ko-fi. I feel like it's probably coffee because the little symbol of people donating to you is a coffee. So I have a coffee where you can help me in building my business and making more content on YouTube and just support me in general. I've had my first couple donations, which is so exciting, and thank you so much. I cannot even believe that. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And if you have any videos or content that you would like to see from me, I'm currently working on a really pretty lookbook that was a request from a viewer, so if you're watching then please get excited for that because I did listen. I love you all so very much. Please do remember to have courage and be kind, and may all of your dreams come true, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Mandatory my hair looks cute today check.